Welcome to War Bios. I'm General Biography, and today we're exploring one of the most pivotal campaigns of World War I, the Brusilov Offensive. This operation, launched by the Russian army in 1916, would prove to be a turning point on the Eastern Front, showcasing innovative tactics and strategic risk-taking that would change the course of the war. To understand the significance of the Brusilov Offensive, we must first delve into its origins, tracing the events and decisions that led to this daring campaign. The year 1915 was particularly grim for Russia, with the country facing significant losses on the battlefield and internal strife that threatened the stability of the empire. It was during this tumultuous period that General Alexei Brusilov, a seasoned military commander known for his unconventional thinking and bravery, began to formulate a plan that would eventually become the Brusilov Offensive. In the winter of 1915-1916, as the snow blanketed the rolling hills and dense forests of the Southwest Front, Brusilov and his staff worked tirelessly in their headquarters, poring over maps and intelligence reports. They were determined to find a way to break through the enemy lines, composed of Austro-Hungarian and German forces, which had been entrenched along the Eastern Front for months. The location of the Southwest Front was critical to the success of Brusilov's plan. The terrain, with its numerous rivers, including the Styr and the Seret, presented significant challenges for military operations, but also offered opportunities for clever tactics and strategic maneuvering. Brusilov, aware of these complexities, spent months studying the terrain, identifying weak points in the enemy's defenses, and planning a series of coordinated attacks that would exploit these vulnerabilities. One key figure who played a crucial role in the development of the Brusilov Offensive was General Mikhail Alexeyev, the Russian Chief of Staff. Alexeyev had long advocated for a more aggressive approach on the Eastern Front and saw the potential for a major breakthrough in the Southwest Front. He worked closely with Brusilov to coordinate the planning and preparation for the offensive, ensuring that the necessary resources and troops were allocated to support the operation. As the winter months passed, the Russian army began to mobilize its forces along the Southwest Front. The soldiers, many of whom had endured the harsh conditions of the Russian winter, were eager for action and morale was high. Brusilov's strategy relied on speed, surprise, and coordination, aiming to catch the enemy off guard by launching simultaneous attacks across a wide front. The planning phase of the Brusilov Offensive was marked by meticulous attention to detail and an innovative approach to military tactics. Brusilov recognized the importance of artillery in softening up enemy defenses and planned for a short but intense barrage before each attack, designed to minimize Russian casualties while maximizing damage to the enemy's positions. By the spring of 1916, all was set for the launch of the Brusilov Offensive. The stage was prepared for one of the most significant military operations of World War I, an operation that would test the mettle of both the Russian and Austro-Hungarian armies and have far-reaching consequences for the outcome of the war. The Brusilov Offensive began on June 4, 1916, with a series of coordinated attacks across a wide front stretching from the Styr River in the north to the Romanian border in the south. The Russian army, bolstered by months of planning and preparation, launched a short but intense artillery barrage against the enemy's defenses, designed to minimize their own casualties while maximizing damage to the Austro-Hungarian positions. As the guns fell silent, the Russian infantry emerged from their trenches, advancing across no man's land with a sense of purpose and determination. The Austro-Hungarian forces, caught off guard by the ferocity and coordination of the Russian attacks, struggled to respond effectively. The initial breakthroughs were significant, with the Russians gaining ground along the entire front, but it was the follow-up attacks that would prove decisive. One of the most notable aspects of the Brusilov Offensive was its use of clever tactics and strategic maneuvering. Brusilov's plan called for a series of feint attacks designed to draw enemy reserves away from the main points of attack. These feints were highly successful, with the Austro-Hungarians committing their reserves to counter the perceived threats, only to find themselves facing even greater challenges elsewhere along the front. The Russian army's use of artillery was also a key factor in their success. Brusilov had recognized the importance of softening up enemy defenses before launching infantry attacks, and his artillery plan reflected this. The short but intense barrages, often lasting just 30 minutes to an hour, were designed to destroy enemy trenches and wire, creating lanes for the Russian infantry to advance through. As the days passed, the Brusilov offensive gained momentum, with the Russians pushing deeper into Austro-Hungarian territory. The city of Lutsk fell on June 7, followed by the strategic town of Czernowitz on June 17. The Austro-Hungarians were in full retreat, and their army was on the brink of collapse. The impact of the Brusilov offensive was felt far beyond the Eastern Front. The campaign had significant implications for the war as a whole, drawing German troops away from the Western Front to support their beleaguered allies. This, in turn, would give the Allies a much-needed respite, allowing them to regroup and prepare for future offensives. As we reflect on the Brusilov offensive, it's clear that this campaign was a testament to the ingenuity and bravery of General Alexei Brusilov and the Russian army. Their innovative tactics, clever strategy, and determination in the face of adversity would inspire future generations of military leaders, and their legacy would endure long after the guns fell silent. But the story doesn't end here. The aftermath of the Brusilov offensive would bring its own set of challenges and consequences, shaping the course of the war and beyond. However, despite their initial successes, the Russians were ultimately unable to capitalize on their gains, and the campaign began to lose momentum. The Austro-Hungarians, bolstered by German reinforcements, were able to stabilize their defenses and prevent further Russian advances. The Russian army, exhausted and depleted from months of fighting, was unable to maintain the pace of their earlier attacks. One of the key factors contributing to the decline of the Brusilov offensive was the failure of the Romanian army to declare war on Austria-Hungary in a timely manner. Despite initial promises to support the Russians, the Romanians hesitated, and by the time they finally declared war in August 1916, the momentum of the Brusilov offensive had already been lost. As the campaign drew to a close, the Russian army was left to consolidate its gains, but at great cost. The Brusilov offensive had resulted in over 500,000 Russian casualties, and the army's morale and effectiveness were severely depleted. The Austro-Hungarians had also suffered heavily, with over 600,000 casualties, but their alliance with Germany had helped to prevent a complete collapse. The legacy of the Brusilov offensive can be seen in its impact on the outcome of World War I. The campaign had drawn German troops away from the Western Front, giving the Allies a much-needed respite and allowing them to regroup and prepare for future offensives. Additionally, the Brusilov offensive marked a significant shift in the balance of power on the Eastern Front, as the Russian army demonstrated its ability to launch large-scale and effective operations. In the years following the war, the Brusilov offensive would be studied by military historians and strategists around the world who sought to understand the keys to its success. The campaign's use of clever tactics, strategic maneuvering, and innovative artillery techniques would influence the development of modern warfare, shaping the course of future conflicts. Today, the Brusilov offensive remains an important chapter in the history of World War I, a testament to the bravery and ingenuity of General Alexei Brusilov and the Russian army. As we reflect on this pivotal campaign, we are reminded of the complex and often tumultuous events that shaped the course of the war, and the lasting impact it has had on modern military strategy. In conclusion, the decline and legacy of the Brusilov offensive serve as a reminder of the complexities and challenges of warfare. The campaign's successes and failures offer valuable lessons for military historians and strategists, and its impact on the outcome of World War I continues to be felt today. That's all for today's War Bios. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, I'm General Biography, reminding you to keep marching toward victory.